Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Chamberlain, the Air Force guy here. Going to go over with you tonight some, going to give you specifics when you're looking at, in the event that you have it in your mind that you want to have a fifth wheel and you have a truck. Now, I'm going to be using a certain type of truck here this evening because I actually was talking with a prospective customer the other day, dead set on a fifth wheel, and didn't quite understand what they had for their tow vehicle. So I'm going to kind of break it down for you. And all you need to do is you just take the numbers from your specific truck. You can plug those in, kind of do the same math, and that will work basically the same for you. So I do appreciate you joining me here this evening. And by the way, I know I mentioned that we're going to be doing something that's pertaining to Make-A-Wish. And because I didn't want to take away from the information I'm giving here this evening and didn't want to drag this on long, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and come on. We're going to do just a special YouTube Live just for Make-A-Wish. Got a lot of great content I want to cover with you there. So didn't want to cut into the information here this evening. So we're going to go ahead and cover that Thursday night, 7 p.m. So make sure you're back here because I'll tell you, it's good. Your heart's going to melt when I go over some of these things. So I do appreciate you all joining me here this evening. Good to see you, Bruce. I know Bruce Murray, he was the one that actually, I believe if I'm correct, Bruce, you were the one that had asked me if I would cover this. Now, for tonight's lesson, we're going to be talking about a 2017 Dodge Ram pickup. Now, it has a short bed crew cab. It's the 6.4 gas V8 motor. Now, with that, also something you have to take into consideration is the rear end. It's a 3.73 rear end. It's not the 410. Now, on top of that, if you were to look up the specs of the brochure, you're going to see that it tells you on the brochure or on the website that it has a payload of 3,300 pounds. However, with all trucks, make sure that do not go by what the brochure says, because the brochure is just a basic information. It does not know what options you have on your truck. Now, when you're taking into consideration this particular one, and what you do to get the actual information, you open your driver's door, and that's where you're going to see in this particular truck, payload was 3,036 pounds. Now, their tow rating with the 373, as you can see, was 12,630. Now, if you were to upgrade, if you would have a 410 rear, you'd have been able to tow 3,000 pounds more. Payload wouldn't have changed. Your tow capacity would have. So, and you're going to see that the payload, even if you had the 410 rears, now you're going to get that much worse fuel mileage. And with this type of payload for what you want, it wouldn't matter anyway. So let's kind of go over where we need to start. Well, I'm going to start with payload to look at this. Now, let me ask the question out there. If you have a payload of 3,036 pounds and you're looking at a fifth wheel that, let's say, has a pin weight of 2,500 pounds, do you have enough truck with the fact that you have 3,036 pounds of payload? It's kind of a trick question there. So I'm going to give you a moment. Somebody come in, chime in, and let me know if you think 2,500 pound pin weight is okay for this truck. I see Bruce did chime in no. Here's what you have to understand with payload. Payload is your pin weight. You've got to consider, now this is a short bed, as I'd mentioned. Being a short bed, you've got to understand that you're going to need a slider hitch for the most part. So you're going to want to go ahead and understand what the weight of the fifth wheel hitch you're going to put in there. Now, if you're putting a pull right automatic slider, that could be 250 pounds right there. So kind of keep that in mind. So you've got to take into consider that. Plus, you need to subtract your people and other cargo in the truck. Let's say you had 500 pounds of people. You had 200 pounds of a fifth wheel hitch. And let's say another 100 pounds of cargo. So that's 800 pounds that you need to subtract from this. So as you can see, now you're down to 2,236 pounds of payload. So you can see how that's going to change things. Now let's talk about your tow rating. Tow rating, you need to understand that you're going to have to subtract this 800 pounds as well. So you're 800 pounds of people, right? So now this is people and cargo. Follow me so far? So I'm gonna try to do math in my head really quick here. You know, you kind of put me on the spot, and then I kind of mess up some. But anyway, so now we're going to be down to 11,830. But now what we have to understand is what is the pin weight of the vehicle that you're going to be towing. So let's say that the pin weight of, let's say that you change your mind, you're not going to get that big fifth wheel that has 2,500 pound pin weight. You're going to go ahead and settle, get a much smaller tow vehicle, and you're going to go ahead and go with something that has a pin weight of, let's say, 1,500 pounds. Well, that 1,500 pounds here, so this is going to be your pin weight. So you need to subtract that from your 11.8. So now you're down to 10,330 pounds is your tow rating. So this is your tow rating here. This was your payload. Okay. So you see that now at 10,330, now that doesn't mean that you go out and you buy a fifth wheel that has a dry weight of 10,330 pounds. Hopefully that breaks it down. Now let me tell you what my recommendations were for this individual. Let's go ahead and we're going to leave all this stuff up here. Okay, your payload and everything. If you were to switch gears a little bit, now you can move over to a travel trailer. I mean, I know it's a whole different ball game, but now you can move over to a travel trailer, and you're going to fit the parameters because of the fact that the pin weight's going to be much less, meaning the tongue weight. So, and again, your tongue weight goes into your payload. But if you're doing the same thing, let's say that you're doing the 800 again, right? So you have 800 here. So then you're at the 2236. Well, typically your pin or your tongue weight on a travel trailer is going to be even less. So let's do the same math. So you're at 800 again for people and cargo, right? That's people and cargo. By the way, let me know if I'm going too quickly for you here. Hopefully I'm not. And I see I have some questions here, and I'll get over that here in a minute. But so again, you're going to be at the 11,830, right? Now you're going to take, in this particular case, for this particular one, you're at 1,200 pounds. This would be tongue weight. So you can see you're at 10,630. So with this scenario, what you're going to want to be is you're going to want to make sure that you have something, I would say, under 9,500 pounds or even less than that in order to safely tow it. Keep in mind, and I went over this before as far as with weight distribution, understand weight distribution does not change the tongue weight. But I can tell you this truck here, the way it's set up, it can actually accept tongue weight up to 1,800 pounds with their class 5 receiver. So pretty hefty hitch receiver they have on there. And this type of trailer is not going to exceed that at all. So they're going to be okay there. So you can see how by breaking it down numbers wise, how you're able to make the proper, I guess, an educated decision if in fact you're looking to go fifth wheel or go travel trailer. Always take into consideration these type of numbers here. Just do the math and make sure. Now, the other item you got to look at, which I didn't discuss in this, was your gross axle weight rating. So you actually have, and by the way, if you're falling within your numbers, meaning your tow rating as well as your payload, you should never exceed your other your other ratings. So what you have with most vehicles, and I want to kind of go over, so you have a gross vehicle weight rating. You're going to have a unloaded vehicle weight. That's going to be basically the gross, subtract your payload, give you your unloaded. And then you also have what we call a gross combined weight rating. And then you have your gross axle weight rating. Now, the way this works is your gross combined weight rating is basically your unloaded. You take your gross combined weight rating, subtract your unloaded, and that's going to give you the tow rating that they tell you on the website or in your owner's manual and so forth. But what's happening is that's why once you start adding more weight to your vehicle, that is why your tow rating goes down some. Your gross axle weight rating, highly recommend that what you do is go and have your vehicle actually, if you know that you're going to be kind of pushing up against your max, go to a CAT scale, get your vehicle weighed so you have a great idea. If you're not exceeding, if you don't exceed your payload and you're not exceeding, the tow rating, you should not have an issue with your gross axle weight rating. You're not going to exceed your gross combined weight rating. None of that. Key is keep it safe. And I know there's a lot of dealers out there that might not go through this as in much detail. And in my opinion, what we're doing, my job is to keep you and your family safe, as well as the rest of families that are on the road. Let me see what questions were asked here. So, how you doing there, Papa Drew? How you doing, buddy? Appreciate you catching up with us later. And let's see, there was a question in there. So, Murray, as far as the fuel, add to your cargo weight, you got to check to see with the specifications in the owner's manual. A lot of times your payload is in addition to a full tank of fuel, and in some cases also you don't have to subtract the weight of the driver. However, let me preface that with saying this, that when you read the small print in a lot of these brochures, they're calculating the driver's weight or passenger weights at 154 pounds per person. So you've got to take that into consideration in the equation. So do appreciate the question, though. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining us here. Does anybody have a question about what I have gone over here? Maybe I need to explain it maybe in a little more detail for you. Please do chime in if you do have a question. Like I said, I try to keep these short, sweet, and informative. And I do appreciate each and every one of you joining us here live and or watching this on replay. And look forward to your comments. If you're watching on replay, by all means, let me see any questions you might have, and I will definitely touch base back with you. So I know we're kind of on a little time delay here. I want to just see if there was any additional questions. Give me a thumbs up if you're thinking I covered this in enough detail for you as well. Throat's getting a little dry. Take a little swig there. So that is what to understand. Now, for those of you that may not have a truck and you're looking at a fifth wheel, highly recommend that you consider. I would highly recommend that you go find the fifth wheel that you like, and then buy the truck that's going to work best for it. As far as I mentioned the slider hitch. I really like the slider hitches. I know that there's Anderson hitches out there. We do not recommend Anderson hitches at this time. We don't feel that, I would say we, as a dealership that I work for, they're not too keen on those fifth wheel hitches. The ones we offer, B&W hitch, and of course you can get a slider hitch with that. I wouldn't recommend that one. That's getting very heavy. We have the Reese hitches, and we have pull-right. I would say that 95% of the people that have a short bed that purchase a fifth wheel from me end up going with a pull-right slider hitch, because that is the simplest hitch. And the reason why I recommend that is the owner of Beckley's, he was actually pulling out of his driveway with a short bed truck, took a turn too tight, and he did actually crunch the cap of the fifth wheel into the cab of the truck. So there's possibility if you're not paying attention. So Nice thing with the pull right slider hitch, it doesn't matter whether you're going forward or backwards. That thing automatically moves away from moves back to the back part of your box, and you can turn 90 degrees. You are not going to hit the front cap of the truck or the cab of your truck. So it's a great hitch, very low maintenance. You spray WD-40 on it prior to every time you're using it, and it works great. As far as the Anderson hitch, I can tell you that I did have a customer that came in from um, Texas, and they picked up a Momentum, and that's what he had was an Anderson hitch. And I know that the reason why people like those Anderson hitches is especially those people that want to remove and put them back in and forth. They're so much lighter than everything else, and that's a big plus for for a lot of people. So hopefully that helps you out. Listen, so I do appreciate you watching here this evening. Anybody else have a question prior to us signing off here? And keep in mind, make sure you join me Thursday night, 7 p.m. I'm going to go over the Make-A-Wish Foundation for the Mid-Atlantic. I want to talk about the two families that recently I had pickup campers, kind of give you a little bit of intro to what they have gone through and so forth, and how you may be able to help out. So if there's no other questions here this evening, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. As I said, I do appreciate everybody showing up here this evening. Appreciate the replay. If you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. And if there's some particular topic that you'd like me to cover, by all means, reach out to me and I'll see what I can do. So again, thank you for this question from Bruce Murray out there. Without him chiming in on that, I probably covered it, but it's some other date. So thanks again, and we'll be back at you again soon. Y'all have a great evening and stay safe out there.